The person who enables their battery percentage readout or the person who doesn't? Which one are you? I'm Tonya Hall for ZDNet and Tech Republic, and joining me is Chris Dancy, mindful cyborg and author of the book, Don't Unplug. Welcome, Chris.
Hi, Tonya. Thank you.
Give us a brief summary of your resume. What makes you the world's most connected man?
A good Google algorithm. No, seriously, for about a decade, Google's been indexing my exploits, and through a twist of fate, someone in the media referred to me once as the most surveilled person. And then in the next interview, the reporter hatcheted that, and it became the world's most connected, not surveilled. And then ever since then, that's been what it is. It's nothing I can really control at this point.
You wrote a book called Don't Unplug, How Technology Saved My Life and Can Save Yours Too. What motivated you to write the book?
At the time, I turned 40 10 years ago, and I was spending a lot of time in front of machines, machines I held, machines I wore, machines I worked on, and they knew a lot about me, and I knew nothing about me. I was 310 pounds. I smoked 2 packs of cigarettes a day. I'd been through outpatient rehabs, police, clinics, the whole bit. And I just said to myself, there has to be a way I can get more out of the internet than just passively consuming Reddit, or at that point, it was probably Dig. So I just started writing these little routines, and then one thing led to another, and I started learning a lot more about myself. The simplest way to think about it was I kind of exploited my own real-life web cookies around sets of behaviors and started changing or hacking those behaviors.
Why does the color of a credit card make you use it more or less?
So, it's funny. So all technology is just an exploration in behavioral science, right? So right down to like how we look at something or hold it or don't hold it or cover it or protect it. And when I realized this, I started saying, well, what else in my life is being dictated by behavior? So I started doing little experiments like, was the color of a credit card influencing me? So I was really embarrassed by certain credit card colors. Now, this is way back when credit cards were our only source of kind of who you were. And like gold credit cards were really embarrassing, whereas silver and black were like more, astute to me. So this was an experiment I did really early on. And how I translate it today is, if you're having trouble with problems, like stop using all the digital money and go back to credit cards, but get a credit card that you can customize and put a really unflattering picture of yourself on the front. And you'll be amazed how much you curb your own spending in that same way. So I guess the short answer is the color of credit cards affects the way you spend money because of some behavior heuristics that we might not be aware of until we study ourselves.
You say there are 2 types of people on Earth, those who enable their battery percentage on their devices and those who do not.
Yeah.
What does that have to do with anything?
So you know what I'm talking about. So like the world falls evilly into the people who have folders nested on their phones and people who have just icons. People who have all the badges with 500 unread emails, like somehow they're the master of information destiny, and people who are inbox zero. And what I've noticed is it really is a lot simpler than that. It's just people who enable the battery percentage, the high achievers, that milk everything out of every moment, and people who don't. And I think the people who don't enable the battery percentage visible on their phone need to, and the people who have it enabled need to not do it. And we'd probably have a lot more balanced problems in the world. I don't think we have a political polarization. I think we have a battery percentage challenge.
How do you use technology to avoid saying something you don't mean?
Oof. So, technology really allows you to edit yourself. So when in real life, like in this interview, I just have to say things and hope that I don't really make an ass of myself. But on technology, I can edit myself, unless you're talking about Twitter. But the reality is you can go back and you can edit what you said. You can change it in some ways. You can add a photo. You can add some emojis or things like that. So technology really allows you to delay speech and say things that you're more meant to say. That being said, it's much easier to judge that because of that. So the polarization around, well, you said this and here's a link to prove you said it, really comes from technology enables you to be more careful about that. Whereas if you say something off the cuff, person to person in meet space, I think it's harder to hold someone accountable for that because your mind works faster than your mouth.
You mentioned Twitter specifically. There are certainly people who say things on Twitter and get themselves in a whole lot of trouble. And even if you delete a tweet, it's still there. It's still in cyberspace, right? So wouldn't you say that maybe that's more harmful to be able to document your words?
No, I understand that completely, and I agree with you to an extent. The problem is it's human nature to document. So the problem isn't you saying things. The problem is other people documenting for you. The fact that all of your friends have become a Library of Congress for your ill. And I think if we look just to the tech companies, I mean, Apple's done more to evolve the screenshot in the last two iterations of their iOS software than they have their sensors. And I think that says a lot about the type of culture we're in. You know, the fact you can now video record your screen, screenshot, annotate, and edit those things and reshare them instantly faster than you can check on your health records says a lot to where Apple wants people to be, and Android for that matter, than where we are. So I don't think the problem is how we share online. It's the fact that we made it too easy for other people to catalog us.
Tell us about the evolution of interfaces. Why will mobile phones be obsolete in a few years?
Well, again, I just go back to the kind of, as a 50-year-old guy, I mean, they're fairly new. I mean, how we use them now. So if we go back 10 years, we really didn't have this idea of touching and playing with screens all the time. I think if we go forward 10 years, we really don't have this concept either. The last three big innovations from both Apple, Google, and other hardware companies, they either had no interface or a small interface. So you started in 2014 with the Apple Watch, where you've got a really tiny interface. From there, they pivoted and went to the EarPods, which have no interface, and then HomePod, which absolutely has no interface. So, I mean, the trend is there. We're moving toward ambient notification systems. And I'm not worried about a world where everyone's staring at their phone. I'm worried about a world where everyone's blindlessly being told what to do by a service where they don't get to choose.
You have up to 700 sensors at your disposal. How does this technology help you be more human?
Well, first it showed me what was not human. So early on in my experiments, I learned very quickly that I could be healthier, I could be thinner, happier, richer, more successful, more efficient. But it actually made me quite a jerk to be around. And one of the lessons I think a lot of people learn as they get deep into technology is how inefficient humanity is, which either gives you an appreciation for it or kind of makes you a misanthrope. And I think for me, you know, knowing I go either way, and some days I feel very misanthropic toward the world, I prefer to look at the beauty of the inefficiency of being human, which gives me a unique perspective on the types of solutions we could be making. So for me, I really believe technology makes me more human because it exposes how absolutely inefficient and frail my actual organic self is.
Chris Dancy, mindful cyborg and author of the book, Don't Unplug. If somebody wants to connect with you, maybe they want to buy a copy of your book or pick one up, how can they do that?
You can just Google Most Connected. I should come right up anywhere in the world to give power to the search, or you can find me on Twitter at Chris Dancy.
Will do. And if you guys want to find more of my interviews, you can do that right here on ZDNet or Tech Republic, or go to my website, tonyahall.net. I've got links to all my social sites. Thanks for watching.